Well, if I was managing Anthony Joshua, I wouldn't go near Martin Bakole. Absolutely not. Anthony Joshua, who's probably earned in the region of £200 million. Why would he want that fight? Parker's a very difficult fight for Dubois. I think he wins this time, Dubois. I think Dubois will knock him out. I think he nails Parker second half of the fight.
To Joseph Parker, when he went out and it was a gladiatorial performance, and I went there and I texted him the following morning saying, "You've been brilliant, mate, but come on, enough's enough."
Can you actually say that to him? He's still a threat to these guys. I think he beats Wallin. Could be putting himself in a position for another title fight. 13 fights Adams had. I think he could beat Dalton Smith right now, every day of the week and twice on Sunday.
Welcome to episode 106 of Talk Boxing with Simon Jordan and Spencer Oliver. Today we're joined by one of the legends of boxing, not only as a fighter, but also as a manager and a promoter, the great Barry McGuigan. Barry,
Thank you
nice
very
to see
much.
you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for joining us. Let's start with Martin Bakole and some of the stuff that's been going on around him recently. We've spent a lot of time on this show over the last few months campaigning for Bakole because we get to see him in terms of not perhaps getting the opportunities that he perhaps could get because people are avoiding him. Where are you on the Bakole rise and what you think he can and can't do?
I think he's a tremendous talent. He's the biggest threat in the heavyweight division.
That's what we think.
Yeah. I think he's kryptonite for Dubois. He's kryptonite for... Yeah, I think he's kryptonite for... ironically enough, I think he's going to be a major issue for Usyk if he gets round to getting in position to fight for that title. I think he's a real problem. He's just 6'6", 280 pounds, varies between 256, 280. He is fast hands. He's not a dynamite puncher, got a rock-solid chin, walks you down, throws volume, and I just think he's going to be...
So why does that make him kryptonite for Dubois?
Simply because he can take a great shot. If you hit somebody flat out in the chin, Simon, and he doesn't go down, you know, your sphincter starts going at 100 miles an hour. You know, that sounds rude, I'm sorry. But you know what it's like, Spencer. You hit somebody flat out in the chin and it just bounces off them and they walk forward. It's like, it's the most horrible situation.
But has he been hit by anybody that hits as hard as Dubois?
Yeah, oh, he has, yeah.
Has he?
Yeah, I mean, he sparred loads and loads of rounds at Dubois. Yeah, right. and he knows what Dubois' power is like. But here, I'm not wiping out Dubois. I think Dubois has matured. I think he's getting better. I think his conditioning is getting better. I think he realizes the one thing he's got to be, more than anything else, he's got to be able to throw punches volume for 12 rounds.
I think what Bakole brings to the table, which maybe some other heavyweights don't do, is that, you know, he's got a great judgment of distance, and that distance creates the timing, the speed and the power, and that fluidity around his punches. Like you say, Barry, he's not dynamite one punch, but just the rhythm of the shots, and he's like works on the inside with the uppercuts. He brings something slightly different. That's why I think he's a threat to any of the other heavyweights out there.
Well, we've been campaigning on this, haven't we? We've been talking about it. Billy Nelson will, of course, tell us that he's the best thing since sliced bread, and we've been discussing it. But you obviously spoke to Martin Bakole over the weekend, so let's have a listen to what he had to say to you.
Do you think that we see Anthony Joshua back in the ring anytime soon? Or?
I think he will come, yeah, I think so. But I think big fight is waiting for him in Africa, so he should stay out, he should stay outside the ring, keep working hard, because my fight against him in Africa is a big fight.
When are you hoping that will happen?
I think it will happen in the Congo, because that's where they destroy. So that's my medal for a month fight has. So we need to fight in the same stadium. I think it's going to be in the Congo.
And that will be in the same venue, the same arena?
Yeah, of course, yeah. He mentioned himself it's going to be.
Are you hoping that's going to happen this summer?
I think it will, because Excellency say he wants to see that fight in Africa. My fingers crossed, I think I'll get that.
Right, boys, you've heard it here. The fight is happening in Africa in the summer. Anthony Joshua and Martin Bakole. On that note, back over to you. Ben, how are you doing, my friend?
The promoter of Martin Bakole. That's what I want to be known as.
Listen, we've just done Martin Bakole, and Martin Bakole's just said...
#1 heavyweight in the world.
He's just told us, he's just leaked the news. Him and Anthony Joshua, Africa, in the summer, it's going to happen.
It's done. It's done. I'm hearing he's signed and we're off to the Congo.
So both Martin and his promoter, Benn Shalom, are saying this fight is on. And obviously for Benn Shalom, this is a huge opportunity to break into the heavyweights because Frank Warren and Eddie have had that monopoly. Where I can see the fight from Bakole's point of view, because we've discussed Bakole and the opportunity that he wants to create for himself. But if you're part of Anthony Joshua's team, where's your thought process in this one?
Well, if I was managing Anthony Joshua, I wouldn't go near Martin Bakole. Absolutely not. I mean, there's only, and again, I'm being presumptuous, but there is only probably another 4 fights in Joshua. And the reality is he needs to fight for the title, or if not fight for the title, fight. I think a great fight would be him and Fury. That's a great fight.
We all know that because of the economics. But if we are led to believe what we're led to believe now...
What is that?
Which is that this fight between Bakole and Anthony Joshua is scheduled for the summer. Right?
Well, no, I think it's a little bit tongue-in-cheek. I think they're just trying to push for that. And as a promoter and as a fighter... Well, listen, it's not a done deal yet, is it? But what he was saying there, Martin Bakole, was that Turkey told him that he wants him to box in the summer out in Africa. Martin Bakole's been pushing for the fight with Anthony Joshua. And by the way, Joshua, when you're talking about Joshua, where he's at in his career right now, yeah, he's been a 2-time world heavyweight champion. He's achieved everything, British, Commonwealth titles. So Joshua himself is saying, it's not now about... avoid Martin Bakole. He said, if I can create history, recreate history...
Doesn't make sense.
...and go back out to Africa... Yeah, but what he's saying is he feels that he's up for any challenge. So, yeah, like you say, the management side of things...
With due respect, you're talking about an event that happened in 1974 between Muhammad Ali, the greatest fighter of all time, against the beast of that particular time, George Foreman.
Yeah.
So we're now... and that was for a world title. Yeah. This is for something...
That's an ideal.
It's an ideal.
It's an ideal, but it's not... There's nothing in concrete. He would love that to happen.
Yeah.
The reality is, we've got Usyk, we've got Dubois, who are the 2 champions, and they've got a number of challengers, and they've got to clear that way. Parker's a very difficult fight for Dubois. I think he wins this time, Dubois. I think Dubois will knock him out later on in the fight. Yeah. I think Usyk, that's all up in the air. What's going to happen with Usyk? Usyk beats anybody now, but I have to tell you, I think that Dubois' second time round is a very, very dangerous fight.
So do
for Usyk.
I agree. Yeah. Where are you with the Joshua phenomenon? I mean, the thread we're pulling at is this idea that he's going to fight Bakole. And just indulge it for a second. You and I spoke about a year ago on Up Front, where we talked about Joshua and the idea that ultimately that he was possibly no longer in that space where he wanted to put himself in the way of the jeopardy of boxing in the same way that he once did before. Yeah. And then obviously he went for this period where he fought Franklin, he fought Hellenius, he fought Otto Wallin, and he cleaned out the MMA fighter, which Fury should have done, and brought the sport of boxing into a little bit of disrepute by not dealing with Conor the way he should have done. So, Joshua, were you surprised when he got beaten the way he did by Dubois at Wembley? Because everyone thought it was going to be an anointment. And do you think there's any coming back for Joshua at the elite level?
Yeah, no, look, first of all, we got Dubois over the line. He won the world title against Trevor Bryant out in Florida, in Miami, under Shane's guidance. And then there was a family dispute and he left. And that's something, it's a personal thing, it's none of my business. I'm not going to talk about it and discuss it. But he was always kryptonite for Anthony Joshua. He was always, it was rumours that he'd knocked him out up in Sheffield in the High Performance Centre. He'd knocked him out in sparring. Not knocked him down, but knocked him out. That's the difference. The sparring then ended. So he's got the power to knock anybody out.
Let's deal with Dubois in isolation, because we're going to talk about him later on in the show, but I want to talk about Joshua, more about Joshua.
Yeah, look, if I were Joshua, right, I mean, if I were Joshua, I would only want to fight for the title.
Right.
If the title's not on the line, Fury, if I were him, and I know he's not a guy that needs money, he's not a guy that's desperate for fights. He knows there's only a caption of time that he's got left, very small capsule of time, and he's got to take advantage of that. And when he wants to fight again, he wants to fight for the title. He wants to have the opportunity to win it for a third time, and.
Who do you see that against, though, Barry?
That's what I'm saying.
This is the thing. We've got Usyk now that's probably in the last 12, 18 months of his career.
I would agree.
May have another fight, maybe 2.
Yeah.
So what is the roadmap for Anthony Joshua? And like you say now, it's all about, does he want to create legacies,
But there isn't one,
histories,
is there?
or is he looking to become three-time world heavyweight champion? That's what I'm saying.
But there isn't one, is there?
No, but that was my point,
He
Simon.
can't beat Dubois.
That's my point. If you say...
We know he can't beat Usyk.
Right, so if you say he can't win the world heavyweight title for the third time, that's my point. Let's go
What's the
recreate
point in
history
hanging on? Yeah,
back in Africa. Like, what he's saying is he wants to be remembered for taking the fights and not ducking anyone. Anthony Joshua's that guy.
So that's the case that you're making for the Bakole fight?
Absolutely, yeah.
Right. So Anthony Joshua puts, just out of curiosity, and we're ruminating on this for the point of
That's
hypothesis.
what we're doing, because it's only speculation. We're seeing what we
I can't see him going in with Bakole. I've got a bet with him. He's not going in with Bakole.
Yeah.
He wants that bet to come in his way.
Let me tell
It's
you.
a bit more than a bet. Listen, what has happened here, Barry, I think with Turkey Al-Sheikh and Riyadh season coming into play, if you would have asked me before this was happening, would this fight with Bakole happen? Of course not. Like, it commercially doesn't make sense. Anthony Joshua doesn't need to go near that fight. But now what I'm saying is, Riyadh season, Turkey Al-Sheikh goes, he wants to make the fights. He wants to. His idea is making the best versus the best, modern eras, modern legacies, like we did back in the day when you had Ali, Fraser, Foreman, Holmes. And that is the point, that if Turkey Al-Sheikh says, I want to do a fight in Africa, which he does, by the way, Anthony Joshua Bakole makes sense.
Well, it makes sense, but for Anthony Joshua, who's probably earned in the region of £200 million, why would he want that fight? Why would he want to fight? I know that Turkey Al-Sheikh has taken away that issue that, there's not enough money in the pot. That's all gone now. So that those fights that we've always wanted to see can happen. And so now, to a degree, we're taking away, issues. People used to use the issue of money as a way of not wanting to fight a certain fighter. Now, that has all been eliminated.
Do you believe that in the next 12 months that you will see, given the fact we all think that Martin Bakole is the challenge for most people, do you see him being a world champion in the next 12 months?
Absolutely, every chance that can happen.
Right.
If he gets the fight against any of those guys, he can beat them. He is a nightmare for everybody. He takes the fact that you have the ability to take a really good shot. The way to beat
Make him work hard.
Dubois is to walk him down, put him under pressure, not get nailed and frozen by his power. But I think he's got more confidence. You got to get him fit. You got to get him in a condition where he can throw punches like that for 12 rounds. Can he do that?
That's the question.
That's the question. And I'm not sure that he can. I'm not sure that he can hold a 6'6", 280-pound Martin Bakole off him. I just don't know that he can do that.
Can Bakole go 12 rounds where he's made to work hard as well?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, he can do it. I mean, I've been up in Airdrie and watched him training with Billy Nelson. And we know Billy exaggerates and that sort of thing. And he's entitled to, because this guy's very special. And, he's a perpetual motion volume puncher, takes a great shot, walks you down and closes you down and gets the job done.
Look forward to it. OK, we're 18 days away now from the aforementioned Daniel Dubois fighting Joseph Parker. It's a great fight. It's an intriguing fight. We've seen a lot in Daniel over the last 18 months. We've discussed it earlier on in the show. When you look at this fight, Barry, through what eyes are you looking at it? You've said earlier on in the show that you think Daniel Dubois is going to deal with Joseph Parker and knock him out. I concur.
Yeah.
But as an overview, how do you view the fight?
It's a great fight. It's probably the best. Probably got the potential to be one of the best fights you've seen in the last decade. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Yeah, and definitely. I think that where they're both sat right now, the resurgence of both of these guys, they've both come back and they've come back mentally, physically stronger. It's probably the best fight out there in the heavyweight division.
Do you think he's evolved, Barry? I mean, obviously the fights that he had, I went to the Joe Joyce fight, and I thought when he came into the ring against Joe Joyce in the Mansion Club during COVID, he looked out of sorts. He didn't look comfortable. And of course, a lot of observations were made about the decision he made to take the knee and stop himself from getting any further punishment, which I think his corner should have done for him. Then you go on and you see the situation with Usyk, where people suggested that he may have quit in the 9th round because he didn't want it anymore or whatever. And then you've got the redemption. You've got the Jarrell Miller fight, you've got the Hrgovic fight, and then you've got the dealing with Anthony Joshua the way that he did. Are any of these observations about Daniel Dubois, given that you know him, you've got first-hand experience with him because of Shane, were any of them fair at the time? Because it's conceived to be now that he's evolved into something different to what he perhaps was.
Can I answer that question honestly? I don't know. I can't get into his head, and I can't tell you the way he reacts to pressure or a hard shot or volume, or if he hits somebody, hurts.
But you know what you're looking at.
Yeah, I know that. I know that. I can tell from outside the ring. What I'm saying is, I can't answer that question for him. All I can tell you is that when we went out to Miami and he won the title against Trevor Bryant Jr. and he blew him away, and it was no contest. He was completely and utterly overwhelmed. The big issue, Simon, is what happens when you hit somebody and they just walk forward. That's the question, and then your backside goes and you think, oh my God, what's happening here? I've hit him with everything and he's still coming at me. That's
what
the
happened
issue.
Which was what happened to Daniel when he hit Joe Joyce in that first fight.
What happened to an extent with Joyce, and I think Bakole takes every bit as good a shot as Joyce, if not better. And he's a volume puncher, and he walks you down, and he's clever, and he hits you with little uppercuts, right hands over the top, steps to the side, hits you with the left, crashes over the right hand. He's really clever about how he does it, and he overwhelms you, and he breaks your heart, and he knocks you. Just knocks you out. That's how it happens. But you know, he's got to get past Joseph Parker.
Well, that's what I'm going to ask you next.
That's a tough fight.
And I like Joseph
really
Parker.
I
think this is the best version of Joe Parker that we've seen. You know, obviously he won the world title by beating Ruiz back in 2016 or 2017, where it was. I went to the Parker AJ fight at the Millennium Stadium, which was a non-event for me. It was a poor fight. But I've seen over the last couple of years, with Andy Lee in his corner, he's become a slightly different fighter, slightly more aggressive fighter, lets his hands go more than he did previously. But you're in the camp with me that I think he gets knocked out. But what problems is he going to pose for Dubois to perhaps not have that outcome?
We go back to the same things, Simon. It's stamina. Can he go flat out for 12 rounds? That's the issue for Dubois, right?
Parker, no comment.
And Parker can, we know. He's not that sort of fighter. He's clever and smart, and he hurts you, he jumps on you, but only when he hurts you. He's not someone who walks forward. He's more of a thinker than Dubois. He's more of an educated boxer. But I just think Dubois has got more confident. He's got more settled, and I think he's more sure of himself. And this business is about being sure of yourself. When you're in the lion's den, when punches are flying over your head, missing you by a split second, you having the confidence makes all the difference. And I think just with maturity, I think he's developed that confidence more. And I just have a feeling that it won't be an easy fight, but I think he nails Parker second half of the fight with a right hand over the top, and he finishes him. He's a great finisher when he hurts you. That's what I think is going to happen. Last maybe 9 rounds to 12, maybe 6 rounds to 12. Second half of the fight, he's going to hurt Parker and get him out of there.
You think he stops him?
I think he stops
him. That's what I think, and that's what because you think something different now, don't you?
What with Parker? Yeah, no, I think it's a very, very tough fight. Yes, listen, Daniel Dubois has matured over, since the Oleksandr Usyk loss, really. I think he's sort of
got better.
Yeah, got better, just not physically, but mentally. That was the thing, I think, that whether he was mentally strong enough. Because as you know, Barry, when you get into that last quarter of a fight and it becomes a psychological battle as opposed to a physical, and that, you got to have that mental strength. I think now Dubois has that, and I think that's what makes a difference
Belief
with him.
system.
But Joseph Parker also has that, and he's very, very tough. Listen, I think it's a tough fight that goes down to the wire. I really do. I think that Parker has that mental strength to come over there.
I think that's distinctly a possibility. I tend to disagree with you in the sense that he's a bit more settled, Dubois. He's more settled in that punching range. And it only takes about timing. If you look at the way he knocked out Joshua, he said, come on. He went jab, right hand, jab, and he said, no, come on again, come on, and bang. And it was just like walked him straight onto it, because he hits anybody. He hits anybody on the chin. He knocks them out.
Yeah. I mean, you and I had a conversation before the Fury-Usyk fights where you spoke about, Barry, the fact that Fury's not Fury's in problems here. This is too complicated a fighter for him. This is too complex for him. Spence, you caught up with Oleksandr Usyk's promoter, Alexander Krassyuk, over the weekend, who was talking about what Usyk might likely be doing in the near future.
He's not ready to retire. This is number one. Number two, we don't know what's next. Many things depend on Parker-Dubois fight. This is number two. Number three, we heard from the media that Vladimir Klitschko has a will to become the oldest heavyweight champion ever, beating the record of another legend.
And that would be George Foreman. Is that right?
Of course. Yeah, George Foreman, sure. There is no decision taking. It's just a dream, kind of a plan, maybe a thought. We heard that from His Excellency Turki al-Sheikh. So it's also an opportunity and a possibility. So you see how many scenarios can be possible after the victory of one of the guys we just mentioned. But my bet is with Parker. No disrespect to Daniel, it's just my personal opinion. I'm not a big fortune teller, but this is just a hunch, a feeling that Parker has bigger chances to win. So many things will depend on the result of that fight.
So there we have clarification about what Usyk's doing. Some people were discussing his desire to carry on because he didn't need to. Other people were suggesting this is not the time for him to retire.
So he's just biding his time at the moment.
Well, yeah, he's enjoying himself, but he's definitely not retiring. He is going to fight again. He's waiting to see what's happening with Parker.
Well, that's the question I was going to ask.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, he is a two-belt holder. The other belt is now scattered to sitting with Daniel Dubois. The winner of this Dubois-Parker fight may well find itself in with Usyk.
Yeah.
Can you see, because again, he can get another opportunity to be undisputed again.
Yeah.
And the money will be there, I suspect, because the Saudis will put the money there. But do you see either Parker or Dubois, as he is now, given his experience in Usyk, giving Usyk any significant trouble or being real jeopardy to him?
Yes, and I'll tell you why. Simply because of his age. I think he's running out of time. He's not a big. He's come up from cruiserweight.
He lives his life perfectly, doesn't he?
He does, but he's physically a small heavyweight.
Right.
And he's not, think of Dubois, 18.5 stone of pure muscle. Parker's not an awful lot less. They're naturally bigger men. And you ask yourself, you look,
Is he carrying a lot of wear and tear? He's not,
I agree. I agree, Simon. I think if you look at that last fight, he just looked tired. He got over the difficulties. He got hit with some good shots by Fury, but I just think he just looked a bit tired at the end of it all. And I'm thinking, he's small. He's done what he's beaten Joshua twice. He's beaten Fury twice. Now's the time to consider what he's going to do.
Was he better in the second fight? Because I think he was. Because everyone said, Frank Warren came on and said that you should have seen the state of Usyk after the first fight with Fury. You lot are calling it as a fight that Fury definitely lost, and there's no debate about it. You should have seen the state of Usyk in the dressing room after the fight. But I would suggest to you that Usyk was better, if not as good as he was in the first fight. So the idea is getting tired. If he was tired in the first fight, yet comes again against Fury, is that bearing out your argument or not?
No, that's the point. You do get tired. If you're pushing, think about what he's done. He's achieved an awful lot. He's come up from unified cruiserweight champion to push around the big guys and beat them up. Question whether the first performance against Fury was... I thought he was better in the first one, Simon, simply because...
Did you? Right.
Yes, because, if we look at drama and we look at, overall control. He had him gone and very badly hurt. Was it the 7th round or
I think
ninth? He had him out on his feet and he was gone. He didn't do that in the second fight, and so therefore you ask yourself. I again, train, working with fighters all the time and looking at them and thinking, they all start to burn out. They all start to, at some stage, you know that, Spencer, and there's a small capsule. Some of them have a big capsule.
He's remarkably disciplined. I mean, I've talked to the anti-Joshua camp about it. They watch him after fights, and they're just agog with the way that this guy lives his life.
Yeah, and that's a testament to why he's still here.
Yeah, indeed.
So the question is, that's great. Living life clean and not eating, drinking alcohol and not getting blown up and coming down and all that, that's great.
Yeah.
But wear and tear is something that you can't actually measure. You can see it in guys' performance when they're in sparring and in the ring, but it's very difficult to know when a guy's ready to pop off.
See, I still think he's got a couple of years left. And the reason I tell you that, the reason I say that is because one, that he has kept himself out of trouble, and most of his career down at cruiserweight, at heavyweight, that he's used that extra speed and movement to keep himself out of trouble. I agree with you, by the way. The Fury fight, when Fury was lighter, made it harder for him because Fury could match him a little bit. He was too heavy last time and made it easier for Oleksandr Usyk. But if you compare someone like Artur Beterbiev, who's 41 years of age now and still going the way that he does and the style that he has, you go, fighters are going on longer and lasting longer. And Oleksandr Usyk, for me, looking at them last two performances, you go, he's got to come another couple of years now. For me, I don't see any decline. And I think that, you know, there is another, as long as he wants to take it. Krassyuk, by the way,
it's not surprising that both of them are Iron Curtain fighters, you know. Both of them, one's from Ukraine, the other one's from Russia.
Yeah.
They're both disciplined, you know, Beterbiev is a Muslim, and he's very, very devout and clean living, eating well all the time and not going up and blowing up and down. But Usyk's the same. But I just think everybody has a shelf life. And I saw, and that's why I said, Simon, you know, was this second performance not better than the first? It maybe was, in the sense that he was fighting age, he was fighting size, and he was beginning to look a bit tired. But you know, we depreciate, and it's the internal stuff that we can't measure.
And also, he's now going to be fighting much younger. I mean, Fury's of the same age bracket as him.
Yeah.
You know, if he's fighting a 27-year-old...
What's your feeling about him fighting, like, because Alex Krassyuk in that interview that I had there said, listen, the fight that we're looking at, the potential fight that's going to happen next...
Klitschko.
...is Klitschko. He said Klitschko's going to come out, and again, it's all about, you know, the Turkey Al-Sheikh saying this is the fight, and, you know, the Ukrainians box. No, I'm with you.
And I don't want it. I mean, Klitschko's got to be, what, 48 years of age?
47, 48.
47, 48 years of age. I mean, he's one of the most intelligent guys that you meet. You would think that this is something not for him.
Yes, I agree with you. When you retire, stay retired.
Absolutely, young man's sport and all that.
Just don't do that. I really dislike that, and I would never want to promote that. But, you know, each person makes his own statement, and of course, what's going on in the Ukraine and Russia, he may want to do something to create interest in that. And his brothers, the mayor of Kiev, and all of that sort of stuff. So they want to kick up
it could be other angles
publicity for that reason. Yeah. But realistically, in a purely boxing sense, you should not bother coming out of retirement.
Agreed. And don't forget, Beterbiev versus Bivol and Dubois versus Parker is live on talkSPORT on February the 22nd. So this weekend live on talkSPORT, we had the last dance between Derek Chisora and Otto Wallin. How do you see this one playing out, Spence?
It's a good fight, to be fair. You know, they're both at that stage of their career. I think Derek Chisora's been a great ambassador for, you know, British boxing, heavyweight boxing. He's an entertainer. I think that, you know, that he shows a lot of character in the ring as well. He calls it the last dance. I think it's the last dance here. I believe there's one more left. This is his 49th fight. I believe he wants to get to 50. Where that happens, does it happen out in Saudi Arabia? Is that his farewell party? But yeah, for sure, it's going to happen here. Good fight, real good fight. Otto Wallin's one of those guys, southpaw, can be tricky if he gets into any sort of rhythm. But Derek Chisora also is one of those guys that likes to break the space down and close the fight. So who can utilise their skills the most, I suppose, Barry? Who comes out on top in this one?
Yeah. You know something? Derek Chisora has had the longest career, the most opportunities in television. He's one of those enigmatic characters that are hard to predict. And not just that, not just from a personality perspective, but actually physically. He's 41 years old. Yeah. I mean, he's still going, he's still strong, he's still assertive, he's still a threat to these guys. I think he beats Wallin, and depending on how impressively he beats him, if he gets him out of there, could be putting himself in a position for another title fight.
Where are you on...
World title fight.
Where are you on Derek Chisora? Because there's always this campaign about Derek, given the nature of the fights that he's been in and the wars and given the moniker that he goes with, and knowing your background, Barry, and the thought processes you have about boxers and their well-being and the support that you wanted to put in once upon a time with the Professional Boxers Association and the ideals that you have there. Where are you on Chisora and the length of his career and the fights he's putting himself in?
You see, just going back to the last part about Vladimir Klitschko, I hate that. I just hate guys coming back and fighting when they've had an amazing reputation and want to come back and spoil it all by fighting somebody younger and getting beaten and getting hammered and besmirching their records. Now, I know Derek's not retired. he's gone on, and there's question mark whether he should have retired. He's a really, as I say, he's a really incredible personality.
Endearing as well.
Very endearing at times and can be violent at other times, and very hard to predict. But he can fight, and I like the fact that he hasn't given up. And then when he does give up, I hope he stops for good. But I just think how much is left in him, Spence?
Yeah.
How much has he got left? How much of the fire in his belly does he still have left? I know he says it, but it's money and it's an opportunity.
Yeah, that's where I was going, Simon.
If he wins this fight,
I know he beats Joyce and everything else, but and I did say at the start, it throws him into an opportunity to fight for the world title.
But do you think this campaign that gets regularly touted around Derek Chisora, because of the manner in which he fights, the fights that he's been in, do you from a boxing optic point of view, do you look at it and go, 50 fights for a heavyweight, the kind of fights that these guys are in, the challenges, the fact that we've got every other sport in the world getting worried about CTE and dementia and stuff like this, and it never seems to find its way into boxing.
Yeah, I mean, that is always the biggest concern for me, pugilistic dementia, later in life and all that sort of stuff, carrying on too long. But I go back to the point I made earlier. He didn't stop and go away for 3 or 4 years and then decide to come back. Now, he's fighting irregularly these days, but he's still in with a chance. I think he beats Wallin. I think he can overwhelm and stop him. And if he does, he can get a shot at the world title again. And, and then I hope he'd be able to say, well, now I can walk away from it. But it does worry me that guys go on too long. It's not good for not just them, but it's not good for the sport.
No, that's my point.
I think he's accepted that 50 he's going to bail out. I've spoken to him off record about that, and he recognises.
Are you close to him, Spence?
Yeah, very close to him. Yeah, very close to him. I speak to him regularly, Derek, and he knows what it is. And I'll tell you something, coming into this fight, there's going to be a lot of emotion going up there against Otto Wallin, because he recognises it's the last time he's going to fight in Britain, and it will be the last time.
Yeah.
And as fighters are very emotional, and they're very, fragile at this stage of their career. With Derek, he's one of those guys, because life without boxing for Derek is going to be very difficult. When he loses that identity as a boxer and just going back into, fitting back into life as a normal civilian, Derek, that's what he's going to struggle with.
I was also going to ask you about the impact of personalities being lost from the sport. I mean, 2 of the best interviews I've done on the upfront was him, Barry McGuigan, and Derek Chisora.
Yeah.
And the personality of... You're welcome, mate. The personality of the heavyweight division is often defined by Fury, by Joshua, to a lesser degree by Chisora, but notwithstanding that, he's a very personable and very much liked and regarded heavyweight for a variety of different reasons. When these guys hang up their gloves, which is going to be relatively within the next 18 months, I suspect we're going to see no more Fury, no more Joshua, and definitely, I suspect, no more Chisora.
Yeah.
Do you worry then that there's a vacuum of personality in the heavyweight division?
No.
Despite the fact that Usyk is brilliant, he's not a showman, is he?
Yeah. No, he's not. He's not. I mean, Usyk is not a showman, of course, and Derek is. And Derek is a very interesting character, deep, hard to predict, very unpredictable from a personality point of view. He turns up one day and he's a different Derek, and then the next day he's calm and jovial and conversational.
Do you worry about? I mean, it's the marquee division.
Yeah.
It gets all the news, and sometimes it shouldn't, because sometimes the better fights are in other divisions.
Yeah.
But do you think when we lose these personalities,
No.
No.
I think the country is full of promising young heavyweights, and they're all coming through. And I think even if it wasn't the case, Simon, you have a time to stop. You have a shelf life, and when you exceed that shelf life, give up, because it's the damage that's done. The worries and concerns I have is later in life, because if you then start, slurring your speech and all of that sort of stuff, it's not just a bad advertisement for you, it's a bad advertisement for boxing.
Business,
I think these talents always emerge as well. Like you say, Barry, I think the gyms now are polluted with young kids that are inspiring to be the next Anthony Joshua and next Tyson Fury.
Well, not polluted.
No, polluted. Polluted.
Too many?
Polluted too many, yeah.
No.
You go to Finchley Boxing Club, And it is like absolutely packed. You know,
that's
not
good.
That is
male,
great.
female. Yeah,
That's a great sign.
It's a great thing. Absolutely.
Yeah,
So,
but you know what happens with that situation, you know anyway. Over a period of time, that all filters out and the good guys stay.
Absolutely.
And the guys that are not really serious about it fall away.
Absolutely.
yeah, absolutely. But I think the talent will emerge and the talent will come through.
Whoever wins this fight, and let's, you know, ruminate that possibly.
We've been talking about a load of fights, so which one are you talking about
Wallin and
specifically?
Chisora.
Okay.
Either one of these going to be a likely target for someone like Moses Atuma? Say specifically Wallin.
I think I think the winner possibly boxes Moses next. I think that might be the fight that happens out in Saudi.
Yeah.
As what I'm saying is Derek Chisora, right? It might be set up for Derek to come through this one. We all agree that we believe Derek will come through this one. And that might be the fight. Derek's number 50 out in Saudi against the young gun looking to take the baton.
Do you want that for Chisora?
No, I don't. Listen,
I've been honest. Moses Atuma for Derek Chisora.
I've been honest with Derek that I wanted him to retire a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
After he lost to Joseph Parker when he went out and it was a gladiatorial performance, and I went there and I texted him the following morning saying, "You've been brilliant, mate, but come on, enough's enough." He said his answer to me was...
Can you actually say that to him?
I actually did, yeah. I'm good friends with Derek.
Yeah.
Known him since he was a kid. And he said, do you know what his answer to me was? Was you entertained? And I went, very entertained. He went, did you enjoy the fight? Did I put up a good fight? And he went, brilliant. He went, there's your answer. He said, until I get that. And I said, I can't
or
argue
else
with it.
just shut up.
I can't argue
Mind
with
your
it.
own business.
Yeah.
Where are you on Atuma? I mean, obviously...
Atuma's great.
Yeah.
He's we've had him in the gym a few times. He's sparred a lot with Daniel Dubois. You know, exciting, fast, bangs hard. One question is stamina. That's the one question.
Really?
No. I'm not saying he showed it in the sparring sessions. No, because what happens? He would jump in for 2 rounds and then jump out, or 3 rounds and then get out. So you know they're clever enough not to put him in and leave him in too long. He's only a baby,
Yeah,
so they have to do
There
that.
must be 2 questions, mustn't it? There must be the question you just raised, which is stamina, and the other one is can he take a shot?
Yeah.
Because no one's. From what I've seen.
Nobody's hit him so far. So I think his kryptonite's going to be Martin Bakole.
Also, listen, we've got to remember...
That's a very tough fight for him because he takes such a
But they're
great
not going to
shot.
put him in against
Not
Bakole anytime
now,
soon, is
but I just think down the line, I think Atuma can go right to the top. I think he
So I was
wins
gonna
the
ask you,
world
do you believe
heavyweight
There's a
title.
lot of noise about this kid.
No,
Yeah.
he's
the real deal.
He is the business. Believe me, he's really, really good, and he's a southpaw and. Provided he works hard, and you know as well as I do, Spence, some of these guys, you're in the gym and you empty the tank, you look across and they're not emptying the tank, and then you think, does he really properly understand what it takes to, you know, to really empty it and go back and back? Because the only way to build stamina is to go to the nth degree, exhaust yourself, then suck it up and come back again and do it again and again. That's the only way, and that's what you do with kids. You give them 6 rounds, you give them 8 rounds, and then you give them 10 rounds, and then you look at them and you think, he says, can I get out now? No. You got to stay in, son. You got another 2 to do, and they're whacked.
The difficulty is matching this fella because he keeps on knocking everybody out.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But he does loads of rounds of sparring. That's the thing. So he has to, and anybody who's working with him, and I know. I'm not sure of the guy that's you know, he's training with completely. Is it Young Davidson? Is it?
Yeah, Ben Davidson.
So I don't know about whether or not they can get the rounds, because that's the issue. It's actually getting guys to take his shots, and sometimes they just don't want it. You know?
And to answer the question about whether he can take a shot, you go, listen, you know the stories with him sparring with Daniel Dubois and all the top heavyweights that are out there right now. They're not light spars, them. They go at it and they go toe-to-toe.
No.
So the answer to the question is, yeah, he probably can take the shot. And I think it's all about with him developing, maturing, and you're right, Barry, being in that fight where he has to question himself and ask himself questions during that fight. That's when we find out.
The biggest thing for a young, progressive fighter is this. When you're blowing out your arse after 8, 9, 10 rounds of sparring, and the coach says you're doing another 2, and you go, no, I can't. No, you're doing another 2, son. That's when you find out about what guys are made of.
Yeah.
And that's it. It's as simple as that. And because, you know, the reason we do that is because when they get into fight, that's going to happen.
Absolutely right.
Yeah.
When they fight a Mexican or an Argentinian,
That's
you
what
hit
they're
them
gonna
with
have to deal with.
everything, and they're blowing out their arse, and then 10 rounds come in, and then you got another 2 to do something.
Right,
They go,
be
oh my
brilliant to see.
God.
Right. Let's talk about Azim.
Right.
Brilliant performance on the weekend.
Thank you very much. Did you like his speed?
I liked everything.
Did you like his fighting on the inside? Did you enjoy that?
Do you know what I liked? Do you know what I liked?
Yeah.
I saw a mature Adam Azim, and this is the first time I saw it where I go, now he ticks all the boxes. Lipinets, who's a tough guy, who's been a former world champion, been around a long time. I was speaking to Shawn Porter earlier on today, actually. We've done a show today, and Shawn was saying, listen, Lipinets, we've had him over in America. Mikey Garcia, he took to points. Boots Hennis, he went 6 rounds with him. He's a tough guy.
Yeah.
So we knew this was going to be a test for Azim. But for me, I think that it was a coming-of-age fight because Adam actually beat Lipinets at his own game.
Yeah.
He controlled the space in the first 3 or 4 rounds or so. And then as he took Lipinets into the dogfight in the 5th round, and that was the big turning point because I think he broke Lipinets' heart.
Yeah.
I think he ticked all the boxes. The kid's going to be a superstar of the future, definitely.
Thank you for that. Yeah, very, very good. Timing is great. And, you know, I don't want to blow Shane's trumpet, but he's exceptionally good at teaching power punches, timing, combinations. He's very, very good at teaching him how to slip and slide. Look at the way that Adam has come on, the way he is in punching distance, and he's got the kryptonite. He's got the magical stuff, the speed, and gets him in and out of punching range. Use that, and I kept screaming at him, and said, Danny Jones from I'm a Celebrity standing to my left. And I said, I kept apologising to him, saying, sorry for the roaring and shouting. Because when I'm saying, you know, I care about these kids. I want them to win. I want them to be at their best. And so the thing that Sergey Lipinets was likely to do was to land a looping right hand over the top, and that left a very strong. Last thing a fighter loses is his punch.
He was maturing though, isn't he? Because I mean, he had him hurt, but I think he knew that he didn't have him
Badly
really
hurt.
damaged.
No, yeah.
So he was, you know, applying pressure without putting himself in the way of things. And he also changed the shots he was throwing because when he gets done for 2 points in the fight, he changes the shot selection.
Yeah, and here's this is a good point. I'll get back. Let me just sort of dial back a bit to his performance, his speed, his jab, his distance control, the way he put shots together, picking out shots, looking at angles to get through Lipinets' guard. It was very difficult because he kept them hands up here, and it's almost impossible to go around the left or the right-hand side. So it was great the way he punched, like in a 12-inch box. I keep saying, look, just punch to a 12-inch box below his chest. Everything is directed there. Boom, bang, bang, bang. And the way he done it was great. The timing and slipping was fabulous. His inside work, he took Lipinets' heart away because he made him fight on the inside. And to have the ability to do that and then to get back out on your jab and control things from a distance is really, really something. And he's only 22 years old. You know, it's a red-hot division, Simon.
Absolutely.
And Spencer.
Well, it brings me on because Shane made some observations after the fight about the kind of names that are available and he thinks that potentially are on the horizon for him. Josh Taylor, Jack Catterall, Dalton Smith.
Yeah.
Is he ready for that jump? You, I think, last week suggest that if he fights Dalton Smith now, he might lose that fight.
It's not a fight that he needs right now because there should be more on the table for that fight. Forget about the British or the Commonwealth or the European title. That fight is bigger than that. Let this simmer, this fight, because Dalton Smith's going his way. He's doing a brilliant thing. And Adam Azim is on his own path. That was his 13th fight. He's a 22-year-old kid. Give the kid time.
They want to fight us now.
Of course, because
he's not developed enough.
Exactly.
And they must think we have carrots going out of our head.
But Shane's calling it out.
Yeah.
Shane is saying...
No, he's not calling it out.
But he's saying... But my understanding of it is he's saying after the fight...
I'll ask him, he'll be in a few
Catterall
minutes.
and Dalton Smith... I mean, I agree with you. I think you fight Dalton Smith or anyone when it best suits you, not when it best suits them.
No. But let's be realistic. Let's be commercially realistic, too. Yeah. To win a world title... You know, I always hark back to the great Sugar Ray Leonard-Tommy Hearns fight.
Yeah.
You know, Leonard was the champion. Hearns hadn't won the title yet. He was on his way up. They both had over 30, almost 30 fights. So they were at that mature stage. Leonard was the champion, and so it was a great opportunity. These kids haven't won. I mean, these 13 fights, you said that.
Yeah.
13 fights Adam's had. So we're not idiots. We're not going to be forced in or humiliated into taking a fight which we don't believe he's ready for just yet. Yeah. I think he could beat Dalton Smith right now, every day of the week and twice on Sunday. I 100% believe that. But we want to make sure, you know, you let guys go when they're right on the money, when they're ready to go. want to look at now, the champions at welterweight, or sorry, at light welterweight are, I have them all written out here. Teofimo Lopez, who I think is going to campaign at welterweight, he's not going to go back down to light welter. There's no attractive fights for him there. We got Alberto Puello, he's very good. We got Richardson Hitchens, very tall, rangy, good fighter, and we have a guy called Jose Valenzuela. Valenzuela and Alberto Puello are both signed in to fight on the 1st or 2nd of, I think it's early March, right? So they're both occupied. But we're looking at these guys in the next 12 months. Again, Shane is the one who makes the decisions on that.
Absolutely.
But
it's a natural question, Barry. These names get thrown around.
Of course we
I don't think you should fight Dalton Smith. I agree with you.
Yeah.
At this stage.
12
when he's got something on the line,
12 months when you're a 22-year-old kid in a boxing ring is a lot of maturity and a lot of, and I think that will make a big difference going into the fight if it happens then as opposed to now.
Whilst I've got you, Barry, here, I want to ask you about the big fight coming up with Beterbiev and Bivol.
Yes.
I mean, that's again a fabulous fight.
Great fight.
Obviously you saw the first fight. Were you in the camp that Beterbiev won the fight, or did you think Bivol won it?
I think Beterbiev won the first one, and he'll win the second one too.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. Because we had Bivol on the show. Bivol talked about pretty much saying, "I've got to do what I did before, but better."
Yeah.
And we were debating whether to do that, you've got to put yourself in range more.
Jeopardy.
Which puts you into more jeopardy. And Beterbiev was coming off the back of a knee rebuild. So this time around, he's going to potentially be even better. He wasn't happy.
But he's 1 year older. We go hark back to what we were discussing a short time ago. He's 1 year older. We don't know what he's been like in the gym.
Well, it's the difference here, Barry.
Has he been good? Has he had a tough camp? All of that.
Well, here it is. Going into that fight, Beterbiev was actually coming off an injury going into that fight. That injury has not been around. So actually, Beterbiev might be better in this one than he was that one, which makes it an even clearer favourite going in. Because how does Bivol, do? Bivol is great at controlling the space. Beterbiev is the best at taking that space away.
Yeah.
But it's a great fight.
Yeah, but
he just closes you down.
Bivol couldn't control that space last time. So how's he going to control it this time?
More the same or stoppage?
No, he's not going to stop him.
Not going to stop him.
But I just think they're too evenly matched, Simon, to stop him. But I think he can be more convincing this time because the injury's not there anymore. He's had a better camp, reportedly. He'll be able to close that ring down. And he needs to win, and he needs to win more impressively. He needs to be a decisive winner, whereas the last time he wasn't decisive enough. I still thought he won the fight, but I think he wins this time, and this time he's clear.
Barry, just quickly, how good is this card? Like in the time that we've been in boxing, you look this card down the list, you go, that's the best fight card I've seen personally. What about you?
I don't know this guy, Turki Al-Sheikh, but I have to tell you, what he's doing, the money that he's putting on offer for these kids, and the opportunity.
And we can discuss that all day.
Exactly. And we're not going to do that. I know you want to get off.
That's it.
On you go.
Out of time.
He's got a posh lunch to go to or something. That's what it is.
You can be my busboy for it. Right, that's it for episode 106 of Talk Boxing with Simon Jordan and Spencer Oliver and the brilliant Ben McGuigan.
Thank you very much.
And we'll see you next time we're out.
Declan Rice has seen the past and for whatever reason doesn't want to do it.
Into our basic job. I think it's been really, really poor, really bad.
People say everybody deserves a voice. I think social media proves that actually some of them don't.
Kai Havertz himself, he doesn't mean to miss the chances. Does that warrant him getting the abuse that he does? Definitely not.